Hey kids, do you like professional wrestling? This is the week to do it. It's WrestleMania week, kids. Shake them ropes. The show that originated as the WWE centric show here on Voices of Wrestling. And this is our big week, Chris.
Oh
This is
man. Oh
this is
man.
content galore because we have previews of Stand and Deliver for NXT and WrestleMania Extra Large.
Can I
I'm sure
say
somebody else has
something?
made that joke already, but I don't care.
Well,
I
no,
like it.
I think they even made that joke on
Oh,
WWE's
did they?
program.
Okay, yes.
But on a real note, this is the most excited I've been for a WrestleMania in a good 4 or 5 years.
I am glad you said that. I am the same way. I'm almost regretting not going this year. And that's how
Like
close.
this
That's so.
is going to be a fun weekend. They've got a good NXT show. They've got a very, very solid WrestleMania here,
Yes,
with a good up and down card. I think that this is going to be a very fun WrestleMania weekend.
I listened back to a little bit of our preview show from last year, where I made the bold proclamation that everybody's going to get what they want at the end of the night. And then I listened to our reaction show afterwards, and I just went, I have never been more wrong in my life. But I think this time they might actually do it. They might actually finish the story, Chris.
Part of me, part of me roots for the story to remain unfinished. And here's why, Jeff.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I know you're a bit of a fan of cinema.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Me too. I like a good film. And when
The last good film you saw?
uh I watched Predator not that long ago.
Predator's great.
Yeah,
Okay.
Predator. Yeah, right. That's a
Oh,
very
that's right. We
solid.
talked. I think we talked about that on here.
Yeah, I like Predator. But when most people discuss what is the best movie of all time, you find time and again coming up in the conversation the never-ending story.
Do you?
And yeah, oh yeah, uh, time and again. And the reason is similar to why the Cody Rhodes story should remain unfinished. The joys in the chase, just like with the never-ending story. It's why people loved the never-ending story part two.
They're remaking the never-ending story, by the way.
I know, and people
Yeah.
are gonna love it, and
No.
they're gonna want another part of it.
Well, okay. So your favorite, one of your favorite angles in wrestling was Tommy Dreamer never getting the win over Raven.
That was a banger angle.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it's this event, this WrestleMania is one of the few. Like, I don't often regret not going to things. Like, I think the last one, maybe one of the well, Sting's last match, I kind of regret, but I just didn't have the time or money to do that at the time. One of those FTR Briscoe matches would have been nice to have gone to, and I probably should have gone to the one here in LA when they did it. And then Sasha Bailey in Brooklyn. I think those are my only big regrets. This is a little bit lower on that scale, but I think it's gonna be a fun time. I mean, there are great matches on both nights of this card. Uh we will get to that in the Lazy River, but oh my goodness, we're only on Thursday. And this week has been jam-packed full of wrestling insanity. And we're going to start at the very beginning of the week in the news because Monday morning, New York Post reports that Janelle Grant was instructed by Vince McMahon to write a letter which was obtained from Grant's laptop as part of WWE's investigation into the allegations against McMahon. It is expected to appear in future court filings as Grant's lawsuit against McMahon and WWE proceeds. Uh, within this letter, this is Janelle Grant's attorney talking. No, she noted that most of Grant's letter to McMahon was a love letter. She was assigned to write a love letter to Vince McMahon, and that most of this letter was plagiarized. For instance, Grant wrote to McMahon, quote, I feel understood, accepted, loved, and appreciated for who I am at my core. You see my heart. You see my soul. There are few people who know the secret of making a heaven here on earth. You are one of those rare people. In lines taken verbatim from the 1947 film The Bishop's Wife.
Oh, that's a great film.
It is. It was later remade with Courtney B. Vance and Whitney Houston, and yeah, I forgot what the name of
A
the
lot of
movie was.
people compare that movie very favorably to the Neverending Story
Well, or Predator. You
or
know,
Predator.
if
Yes.
the bishop's wife had a predator in it, that would have been. Anyways, another part of the letter was taken from a 2021 GQ interview with Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly. To quote Ann Callis, the attorney, his psychological torture of her continues, as is typical of abusive predators who respond to women speaking out with increased threats. While Janelle isn't a stranger to his intimidation tactics, this is a new low even for him. Is it though? Although it is WrestleMania week, Chris, and the media blitz was starting, and here comes Vince
Well,
McMahon doing.
well, real quickly here, now she's got her hands dirty with this whole plagiarism thing.
Oh, it's just like the Ivy League scandal.
Yep, yep. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame to
Here's
see.
here's the question that is not important at all, but of course, me having the skewed point of view on life that I have, say where did Janelle Grant, who is in her early 40s right now, get the idea to 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 use the bishop's wife as as a source material for a love letter? That's not generally something that comes up with like me. I love the Marx Brothers. I love black and white movies. I love all these types of things. I'll go to Wuthering Heights and quote Olivier and whatever. And it's like, okay, cool. Janelle Grant doesn't seem like the old soul type to be. Oh, you know what? I really liked. I liked The Bishop's Wife of the romance for 1947. Unless
Well,
Vince
you
was
know
giving
what?
her, Vince was
People
giving her
contain
hints,
multitudes.
sending her IMDb links. Hey, check this one out.
This is a great movie. You're gonna like this one. No, the Bishop's Wife's way too sensitive for Vince McMahon.
Yes. Vince McMahon's the kind of person who would think like Frank Capra movies are too optimistic.
Right. He likes a movie like Predator.
Well, he'd be upset the Predator doesn't win.
Yeah, but he looks strong.
He looks strong. What is this booking?
No, the booking's great in Predator. They get over the team early on when they take out the jobber gorilla guys, and then in comes the Predator.
Yeah.
And the Predator's put over extremely strong. The booking in Predator is extremely solid, Jeff.
Predator 2, on the other hand, not good booking. But
No, well, let's say they was, I am down on Aliens, but that's a whole different discussion.
compared to Aliens to me is lesser, but other people really like that. But then again, I also like Alien 3 a lot more than other people. But hey, we'll talk about that later. Later in the day, AEW with its first round of cuts ever, which had people in a bit of a tizzy on April Fool's Day. Is he really doing this? Well, yes. Dasha Corrette, Stu Grayson, Jose the Assistant, Jorah Joel, Gravity, Slim J, Parker Boudreaux, The Boys, Brandon and Brent Tate, and Anthony Henry were all let go. Now, the controversy around both backstage and on the internet was about Anthony Henry because he had just broken his jaw facing AEW talent Brian Keith at an indie show that was approved by AEW. On today's ROH Final Battle media call, is that the name of the ROH event today? I think I'm right on that. Tony Khan said that he had reconsidered and he had decided to rehire Anthony Henry because he'll be healed soon. The only other comment about any of these cuts, which are unusual to me, and I'll go into that in a second, was he did say that the Boys had no-showed a couple of Ring of Honor tapings, and that is one of the reasons that led to their dismissal. Chris, these just seem like very random cuts, and they don't seem like they would cut a lot off of payroll, which if that's the reason you're going to do it, and he kind of said he was trying to get a war chest to go after free agents, you would do. And there are about 30 other guys I can think of on this roster that they don't use or are not used that much that could be added to this. And while I don't root for anybody to lose their job, the timing seems unusual. and the people, because like the only one here that's
Well,
like
okay, so
Dasha's still used on Collision as the ring announcer, and she's there whenever Justin Roberts can't do anything. I'm just assuming there were like clauses in these contracts that may have been like a guarantee or something to that effect.
maybe a different theory of what may have catalyzed Tony to do this is this growing narrative that seems to deeply bother him that he's not a strong leader.
Huh.
It's clearly getting under his skin.
Yes.
And I think it's at least worth considering. We'll never know one way or the other, but I think it's certainly open to me to consider that Khan is doing his firings for the very first time or his cuts for the very first time as the narrative continues to grow that he has some issues leading.
Well, that's a very interesting segue into what happened in between the firings and the Vince McMahon story. CM Punk on Ariel Helwani's MMA show, reading now from the Wrestling Observer, when praising, here it is. He's not a boss. He's a nice guy. Ultimately, that's a detriment to the company. He talked at length about the Jack Perry story. His story was that everyone wanted Perry not to use glass, mentioned a number of names, most notably Tony Schiavone and Mike Mansouri, claiming Perry cussed them out while trying to get him to not use glass, and they came to him to tell Perry, and Schiavone begged him to intervene. He didn't want to, said how it was a rental car and how the rental car company getting the car back with a broken windshield would have been mad about it and not wanted to rent to wrestlers.
Which had happened in the past.
Yes. He said he told Perry, we don't do that here on Collision, told him to do it on Wednesday. He claimed he went to Tony Khan and told him to handle it, and Tony Khan didn't. He claimed he was, and then at All Out, he claimed he was calm approaching Perry after the line where he said Cry Me a River, and claimed Perry said, if you have a problem, do something about it. We did hear about that line, but the reality is there was a surveillance camera film backstage, and both in-house and outside attorneys conducted an investigation, which Brian Danielson, a friend of Punk's, was part of, and he voted for Punk to be fired. Punk claimed he quit before being fired. He gave the idea he choked Perry, never punched him, and broke the choke when Samoa Joe told him to stop. He claimed he quit before the match, but Joe and Jerry Lynn talked him into doing the match, and he knew people wanted to see him wrestle, so he was professional. He said Perry was sent home, but he stayed before leaving and buying Nando's dinner for some of the guys after the show. He said he signed an NDA at the behest of Tony Khan regarding Brawl Out when the subject came up. Claimed the NDA wasn't for anything he did wrong. When asked why they had an NDA, he said you need to ask the person, Khan, who wanted him to do it. He said when he came back, he already knew it wouldn't work as far as the idea of separate shows. He said the guys in wrestling and all sports get into fights and get over it, and said in a real business, they should have tried to make money off of it. He said he thought it was coming to help a business, and he was brought in for other reasons. He said AEW wasn't a real business, that it's not about selling tickets and not about drawing money or making money. It's about having good matches, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he said AEW wasn't a sustainable business. Chris, the floor is yours.
So, first thing, I think in writing, the comment about Tony Khan being a nice guy maybe scans perhaps one way. There's a very distinct way in which Phil Brooks says nice guy, which has this implicit tone of is a pushover, is not that smart. It's like when you say, oh, he's nice. It's that way of saying that they're, oh, well, they're not a bad person, but like,
it's like when a girl breaks up with a guy and she's talking to her friends about he's really nice, but he's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice is almost like a thing you say when you can't say anything nice.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like the last thing you say is, well, they're nice, as in like they don't throw their glass of coffee at the waiter.
Well, see, I took it in a different way. It's you say that because you don't want to say what you really think of them. Oh, he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
he's ugly, he's fat, he doesn't make enough money, he's poor, whatever. She's a nice girl, she's this, that, whatever. He's nice.
And it was nice, like he's a wimp. Is yes. the way I heard that.
I would too.
Yeah. I think the other reasons thing stuck out to me when I first heard it in the interview, and later on when they we're talking about how close are you to coming back to WWE back in 2020 or whenever he was backstage at that one point, and he was pretty close, and then he ended up going to AEW. It made me think like maybe the other reasons were simply just like, hey, we got CM Punk, and they had no plan after they got CM Punk.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts about this because I've kind of changed a little. Punk is a serious BSer, but he tells enough of the truth where the thing about Perry rings true to me because I could just see Jack Perry thinking that the way they did it back in WWE during the Attitude Era was they just rent cars, they'd smash them, they'd pay for the insurance, and then they'd take them back to the Hertz or Enterprise or wherever they rented them from. It
Which really tells you how not a
idiot?
student of the game he is, because the Goldberg almost losing his arm because he decided to punch through a rental. It is sort of one of the most infamous WCW later era stories.
Yeah, it's like, are you this dim? But like everybody else's problems with him are like, well, those are everybody else's problems. And if only, I know so much and I'm so in control of everything and my own emotions. If they would only just come to me and say these things, we could break bread or whatever. And then but there's also that little like
Well, yeah, I
I don't
choked out Jack Perry,
oh, I
but
choked.
also, yeah, but also like the Bucks could have, come and talked to me, and we could have made money after this.
Yeah. If we had just thrown some punches, me being an MMA UFC trained fighter, yeah, there's a little bit of a big timing there, but a little bit of a threat too. I mean, look, Punk was a terrible UFC fighter, but he still did some actual training and
Right. He
stuff.
actually, yeah, no, I don't care that whatever his record is, he could absolutely annihilate me because
Yes.
he knows how to throw like an actual punch and an actual kick. Anyone who's been through legitimate UFC training enough to lose a UFC fight can probably still kick your ass.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll just beat your ass and then we can be friends again. It's
I
that
mean,
kind of thing. It's like,
it
what?
also makes it pretty clear to me who won that exchange between the Bucks and Omega and Punk. I think Punk clearly had the upper hand here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I just choked Jack Perry a little. I didn't
Well,
punch him.
and then there was that line later on where he was like, I come from a culture where fighting is normal, and I know that there are a lot of people who come from a culture where fighting's the worst thing in the world. Which, like, I
Oh, really?
I
Where do you come
I
from, Punk? That the
I
fighting is
guess
part
I
of your
land a
culture.
little bit in that spectrum, somewhat, but like much closer to the fighting is very bad. You shouldn't do it unless you absolutely have to sort of side of things than the way Punk sort of says it casually, where it's like, no, fight. You just like someone's upsetting you enough about whatever, you punch them. And then, like, everything's cool later because you had your fight. I mean, you got to remember, Chicago is where Malort comes from, Jeff.
Isn't he from suburban Chicago? And wasn't he in like nerd culture? I mean,
Yeah, but but this is still where they get Malort. And even though he doesn't drink, Malort's marketing tag is "Tonight's the night you fight your dad."
what?
Are you not familiar with some of these marketing?
I am
Like
not. I am not.
tonight's the night you unfriend your friends in public. Like there's many good Malort marketing tags here, Jeff.
It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, that's a guy who's watched like too many episodes of Hard Knocks and watches a fight in training camp and then thinks that that's how you bond in real sports or whatever. You can fight in training
Well, have you
camps.
seen Karate Kid? A lot of people love Cobra Kai.
Well, you know what?
Ralph
You know what karate?
Macchio
Hold on.
still got it.
You know what Karate Kid needed was a predator. That's what it needed.
Oh hell yeah, it did. Another
every movie,
like,
every
oh my
movie could use a
god.
predator. Quite frankly, um, but it's one of those things where it's like, yes, in a tightly controlled, top-down controlled environment with coaches and staff and people who will break it up after it's gotten a little bit out of control and hey, you're all on the same team, sure, you can have a fight in camp occasionally. But you can't have two guys who hate each other and are at each other's throats after, you know, for the next 6 weeks of training camp. You either squash the beef there or one of you gets traded or cut, which is kind of what happened to Punk here. So it's one of those things where I come from this culture where if you fight it out and everything's okay afterwards, okay, maybe your training camp for MMA gets a little heated here and there, and then whose camp was it? Duke Rufus's camp he was in, and then the coaches can break it up because they're all trained fighters and stuff like that. But this is like starting a fight in the middle of drama club and thinking that will fix everything. Wrestling is more drama club than it is football team.
I mean, this is all true.
I've seen a cast of Les Mis beat the crap out of each other once.
Sometimes these drama kids can get pretty ornery.
Those rehearsals for Starlight Express turned into roller derby. I'll tell you that much.
No, there's a lot to what Punk said that had the ring of truth to it, but then he caught himself a couple of times, but there's just a few times throughout that interview where he managed to speak just a little too honestly, like where he was at the beginning of the interview, he talks about all of his accomplishments and all of his plaudits and stuff, and then later on it's demurring where it's like, I'm just here to help people out at this point. I still think I've got a lot to offer, all of that. But earlier on, it was, I'm the great CM Punk. So I still come down on he is a jerk with a point. And I think he said it again. There's just a lot of things that happened during his time there while he was still on TV that clearly were meant to poke the bear. And I think...
Oh, he is a line stepper is what he is. And if you don't smack him down, he's going to be the guy running things.
Also true.
And that's why Vince never put up with that crap.
But this is also why I think the passive-aggressive approach failed really badly with him.
Yes.
I think the passive-aggressive approach only managed to escalate things further. One, it's not productive to be going out there and doing a GTS. Or that was Sammy who did the GTS. And then it's not productive to have Hangman Page go off script in a promo. There's a bunch of these things that happened that will remain a managerial issue of that time that, given Phil Brooks's personality, which I don't think he was hiding back in 22 or 23, it was not wise to allow the passive aggression to escalate towards Brooks, regardless of how you feel about him or his positions or whatever, knowing how he's ultimately going to react to this.
Yeah, I think...
which is, I think, within the bounds of reason for most people with passive aggression, too.
This all friends wrestling thing where Tony just doesn't want to be the bad guy thing, I think it rings true. I really do. I think a lot of the scripting of the shows has become, hey, here's your segment. What do you guys want to do? And then he doesn't say no necessarily a lot of times. It's...
Yeah, he doesn't write shows. He just gives like 5 segments out and says, you guys go out and do stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to think.
This week's Dynamite felt like that.
Oh, we will get to that. Counterbalancing that, Cody Rhodes on Ariel Helwani yesterday or the day before. I can't remember that when, but the most politician-y politician. Not a bad word to say about anything. Loves his boys over at AEW. Thought they created something special. Little bit of a hint of some bitterness there when he kind of said, I think they kind of scapegoated Brandy. He didn't really say, but he said that his wife might have been a bit of a scapegoat for certain criticisms at that time. I think there's a lot to that. I think he could have taken the fans turning on him and him curing racism and all that other stuff. I think it was the turning on his wife that kind of said, I gotta leave here or else I'm
Yeah,
gonna get angry, kind of a
I,
thing.
I mean, there's that, and I mean, I will always look back at that time of he was stubbornly refusing to just go into the heel turn.
Yeah.
You know, he really
He
visions
saw
himself
himself as something, and then he probably should have morphed into something else,
right.
but he couldn't get there.
Right, and it wouldn't have precluded him from coming back and being a top baby face either. But there is something very weirdly revealing about that choice at that time to not just heel turn, because like everyone wanted him to do it.
Ronda Rousey accused Drew Gulak of some impropriety. She said on,
Oh, this was so weird though, because she couldn't even remember his name for a minute.
yeah, I was standing there and this guy was barely an acquaintance with grabs the string of my sweatpants as I'm walking by, and nobody reacts as if this is abnormal. And he's going down the hall, and I'm like, what the F is that? Why are you grabbing the string of my sweatpants? My husband was standing there next to me. Would you feel comfortable walking up to me and grabbing the string of my sweatpants? All the guys around me were like, this is part of the day. And if this guy was coming up to me and doing this kind of stuff to me when there were other people around, what's happening to these other girls when I'm not in the hallway? Rousey said she later confronted Gulak over the incident. I was like, if I ever hear you putting your hands on any other woman like this or doing anything to me like this ever again, we're going to have a problem. And he was like, no, no, no. I'm glad you said something to me. And he backpedaled. But it put a sour taste in my mouth about the culture there and what's considered acceptable and how to touch and treat the women in the hallways. Gulak tweeted, backstage at a WWE event in 2022, I saw Ronda talking with a group in the hallway. I stopped to say hi and shake all their hands, and in an attempt to shake her hand, I accidentally touched her drawstring. Complete accident, and one that I apologize to her for the mishap. Somebody's not telling the truth here, Chris. And whoever isn't, uh, if Ronda is overplaying this incident, this is a real crappy thing to do to somebody. If Gulak is just saying, hey, I tried to shake hands and I accidentally touched your drawstring, that doesn't really. I think there
So
was some grab ass going around, and that somebody didn't like the joke, and he needed to be put in his place, possibly. But Ronda Rousey was a big star in WWE at the time that this happened, and she was also a well-trained MMA fighter who would probably break his arm if she wanted to. Either way, I just don't see how she just doesn't go to somebody and go, get this guy fired. If if this actually happened, unless it's just like, hey, I just need to play ball because I'm new here and whatnot.
yeah, so I will say, for me, the heaviest weight on the scale is the fact that she couldn't recall his name. Even that if it was that bad, why? If it was that bad, you would remember their name.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, if it is, chase them down to the locker room and confront them and look them in their face. And if I ever hear that you do this, not just to me, but to any other person, I'm coming after you. You know that person's name.
Yeah, you don't forget that.
You don't forget that kind of stuff. I have a very hard time buying that part. On the other side of the scale, the like kind of, just to make it all even, Gulak has been sort of demobilized over the last couple of years. Like, he sort of peaked back in 21, 22 when he was still doing the PowerPoint presentation stuff.
Well, he helps with the training.
Yeah.
He is that go-to guy. He is a very reliable person backstage for new talent, for talent that they saw a lot in, for talent that they want them to work with a little bit extra. That is what Drew Gulak does quite a bit. So it's one of those things where he is behind the scenes a very important person that was trusted once he got into the system.
And then the other thing I will say is I'm just still having a hard time in my head mentally constructing going for a handshake, which
Yes.
you normally do at chest level, and somehow ending up with a drawstring, which would be below the waist. Like you don't shake down here. You don't, going under the waist requires you to bend your back. So you don't do it. And I mean, if he's taller than her, if he's taller than her,
There we go.
then this makes it that much harder for him to accidentally grab her drawstring.
Yeah, which is why I'm going in between. And I thought he thought it would be funny to yank the drawstring out of the thing, and it was a joke gone wrong. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know for a fact.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, one thing that seems confirmed is they had some sort of encounter.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they both have confirmed that, and Gulak apparently felt like it was bad enough that he needed to apologize for it.
It's just if he had not said if he had not said anything, I would have been Ronda's probably overreacting to stuff. But the whole I went for the handshake and I hit the drawstring, and now my antenna's up the other way. I'm like, oh no.
I know. Right. If he had said nothing, especially given her initial statement, I gotta be honest. I'm like, I'll wait till I see more. That's where I would have been at. His response is the thing that gives me pause and makes me actually have to pull out the scales and put stuff on the scales and think about it.
WWE announces C4 as their first ever energy drink partner, which must be news to Logan Paul and Prime, given the logo in the middle of the ring at one time. But yeah, that's interesting.
That wasn't really a partnership. That was a
plug.
That was a client vassal sort of relationship.
Okay, there we go. Okay, not Ric Flair's woo energy.
That's a damn shame. Quality drink.
Oh God, mushrooms. Ortiz of AEW suffered a torn pec and will be undergoing surgery. He hasn't wrestled since January. And finally, in news that should hearten fans who do their own work and content and stuff like that, video editor Tiger Style Pro, that's his Twitter handle, is now All Elite. He was hired by the company to do video packages for them, which, 5 years in, you'd think they'd have, but no, they're getting somebody in to do he does cool music videos. He usually uses real music without permission, then just kind of does almost old school music videos to a point. Like he had one for Samoa Joe I watched to the tune of Mama Said Knock You Out that I thought was really, really good. So yeah, good for them. Getting a little bit younger backstage and guys who know how to use Adobe and other things like that and putting together stuff. I think that's good for him. I hope he works there for a long time.
Heck yeah.
Cool. So that ends our news segment. We're going to go into the lazy river, but I'm going to switch it up a bit. Usually we start with previews of premium live events or pay-per-views that are coming up this weekend, but we have three nights of those to do. So it's going to be very WWE centric. So we're going to end with that. And we're going to start with anything AEW or otherwise, but I'm assuming this will be a very Dynamite heavy segment right here because Dynamite was a very, I don't know, Chris, baffling show is how I put it.
A strange show.
Very, very weird show. And it started with this Adam Copeland promo where he comes out and he says, "Hey, I'm Adam," which is pet peeve number. I'm not the wacky wrestler character I play on TV. This is Adam talking to you kids right now. And let me tell you, I am having the time of my life here. Having done this was the part that I didn't pick up on, but my co-host on the Dynamite show did. He goes, let's see, he's telling you he's having the time of his life when he came to AEW to tag with his best friend, who he's been having now a blood feud with for the past 4 months. That's just great. This was very rah-rah. This was very, somebody was a little bit gotten to, I think, by the CM Punk remarks.
Yeah, this very much felt like Titus O'Neil coming out and being the proxy for Vince McMahon.
Stand for WWE. It was part that, but it was also part, I think, in my opinion, You know when Rock has been coming out lately and looking in the camera and going, wrestling is cool again, guys. This feels like AEW going, yes, and we're a part of that being cool too. We're helping drive WWE to be better. That's why you all are popping so hard when I mentioned Cody on AEW television, because he was part of this too. And we have the best wrestlers, and we have the best this and the best that. And I'm trying to convince you that we're the best, but really we're riding the coattails of WWE's biggest week right now. That's what part of that felt like to me, other than the part where it was obvious somebody was very upset about the comments about Tony Khan, so they wanted to tell you how great of a place this was.
Yeah, and then the taglines, the myriad taglines for AEW, all reminded me a lot of when WCW was doing "Where the Big Boys Play."
Or Watts, we wrestle.
Yeah, we wrestle. Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just it felt very little
It's
brother ish.
it feels very little brother, but like it's funny that you invoke Watts because I think this is a guy, especially personality wise, that would not be on the radar necessarily of a lot of the AEW 5-star match type crowds or whatever. But to me, there is a lot of like Watts energy. Like obviously, Watts wouldn't like these types of matches, but like Watts was so hung up on like just a handful of fundamentals that he kind of lost the idea of the big picture.
I went the other way on this show, and it was this. It was a few months back. There was a show where every segment had an old legend in it. Like you had Sting, Christian, uh, Danielson or Punk. Just everybody there. Every segment had to have somebody who was known for being in WWE in it, and I compared it a little bit to Impact slash TNA, and just the even the visual of Adam Copeland passing passing the mic or whatever, or passing the show off to Will Ospreay just felt everything wrong about the whole purpose of AEW, which was to say we're not those guys. We're the opposite of it. And I get, that you had it, but at the same time,
Well, and like the Edge and Osprey continuity just isn't there.
yeah,
They've
there's
had
no reason for it.
well, and Osprey's being booked in such a baffling way, anyways, which we can discuss here later with Osprey and Hobbs, that you're not really sure how to feel about any of the Osprey and Copeland stuff. The Copeland promo. Other than that, he just is not particularly intriguing right now in this babyface role, and I think that's what's kind of missing from this. So then
And
you have like,
he's not really the brand ambassador of AEW. I mean, this would have
no,
been better if this was Will Ospreay possibly coming out there and doing this.
well, or if it felt like this was the beginning of positioning Adam Copeland as the new Sting for this company. But even that, insofar as Copeland made a few verbal appeals to it, felt extremely non-committal. So then we get out of this, well, this is where the best wrestle sort of thing. And how do we prove that this is where the best wrestle? Well, Will Ospreay has a match against another member of his faction in Will Hobbs. Now, this match was good. I did not dislike this match. Will Hobbs continues to impress. I think he has more and more stage presence and swagger. His sense of pacing through these matches is very good. Obviously, later on, he got his bell rung real bad and they had to go home. But prior to that, thought Hobbs was looking sharp. The issue to me remains that this Don Callis feud does Will Ospreay no favors, because it's like a feud that isn't. It's a feud that isn't a feud only because Will Ospreay's too stupid to realize that this is a feud, and that's only further hit home when Callis whispers into Hobbs' ear right in front of Ospreay And Osprey's like, bruv, I guess that's fine, bruv. Like not even thinking for a second, like, bruv, what you whispering in his ear, mate? Like that
There's
would
no
be
internal dynamics of the Callis family going on in between any of these matches in terms of does anybody, does anybody have any feelings about having to fight a fellow stablemate or anything like that? That Callis is manipulating people within his own stable to do these types of things.
Osprey's emotional state's completely incoherent for me. Like, I
Yes.
don't know how this guy feels about stuff because I have no idea how he should feel about any of this,
And
other
and
than like not wanting to be a part of it.
and the thing that was pointed out to me is that it looks like it's possible that they're probably going to have some sort of that the turn is going to happen like during a multi-team tag match where Osprey loses it for them.
They're gonna kill the Golden Goose.
But that would then lead to a natural feud where Osprey has to beat all the members of the Callis family.
Well, okay, a lot of people love the game Mega Man. And their favorite part of the game Mega Man is the part where you have to fight all the bosses again one last time.
No, I'm not. I'm not letting you off the hook with that. That's not
Well, you shouldn't because it's actually most Mega Man fans' least favorite part of every Mega Man game.
okay. Thank you for explaining that to me. I just know it's Fireman and Ring Man and whatever the names of their dopey
Pharaoh
villains are.
Man, Dopey. Did you call them Dopey?
They're dopey.
You're Dopey.
No, but it's one of those things where it's like they're doing everything to then set up something which will then should like he should be going through the members of the Callis family after they've turned on him. This makes no sense to me whatsoever. So
And again, he just does not see this turn coming. Has no clear objections to the idea that he has to just randomly fight all of his stablemates because reasons.
yeah, and it's all in service of a battle for who is the best professional wrestler versus Bryan Danielson, who hasn't won a big match in the last 6-8 months, maybe. And
I mean, this
everybody's
could make so much more sense if Callis is at least out here saying that the whole reason he's doing this is that this is the Don Callis version of a training camp.
yes.
And
But instead he said we're doing this for the fans. It's like what's this?
right. No, he keeps talking like Don Callis Championship Wrestling when like the much more obvious setup here is this is being presented to Osprey as a training camp, but he is kind of told all of his guys
to go after him.
Yeah, take your best shot at him.
Yeah.
And that would be
development. That would be great. I would love that.
It's a very easy built-in storyline. And so you get that, and then we move to Danielson versus
Lance Archer,
which I just fast forwarded through because Danielson's gonna win.
Yeah, and he gives Archer a lot, and so it's like
right,
okay.
and he's gonna give Archer way too much of the match, and so I just wanted to move on with my day, and I did.
And Alvarez points this out really well too. Brian Alvarez over Figure 4. He's like, they're having a feud over who's the best wrestler, and they're both struggling with their opponent. It's going 50-50. Why would this make you want to watch them then fight each other? Kind of a thing. It's
right. Wouldn't it be much more interesting if they go in against both these guys, and both these guys are so white hot right now?
Yes,
that they are taking out Will Hobbs's and Lance Archer's. Archer looks like he's, for maybe the first 10% of the match, it looks like Archer's in control. And then Danielson gets like a knee and basically hobbles Archer. And Archer's basically feebly trying to fight back against Danielson. Archer's all of a sudden the underdog for the remainder of the match until he loses. That's a much more interesting match to me, especially in the lead up to the actual fight.
Yeah, we can go through each of these segments.
I know there's not that many, to go through here.
Let's see. Hold on.
Let's do Daddy Ass and Jay White.
Well, was Hook before that? Or
okay,
not?
Yeah, we could do Chris Jericho and Hook. Boy, Chris Jericho just gets better and better every week, doesn't he?
Jeez. This is like a feud that goes nowhere, and we're just doing the same thing every week. Chris Jericho, hey, Hook, I respect you.
He does this with everyone, it feels like, too.
Oh,
I feel like
good
he's
Lord.
only got 3 storylines left in his arsenal. At least
Just
say what you will
make
about
the
him.
turn and let's get this over with, okay?
Make the turn. Let's get this over with. And when we do get this over with, let's have Hook beat Jericho real strong. No bullshit. But the thing about Jericho that at least was good back in the day is he'd go away for a while and then he'd come back with something new, some
Yes.
sort of new hook.
And now he goes away for a week and he comes back with something old.
The same old stuff. Yeah,
There's
like
Lionheart Chris Jericho. Oh, damn it.
these aren't inspired reinventions, right? Yeah, it's the same. It's either the storylines he does in AEW or a weird man cosplaying his 20-year-old self.
Well, yeah, WWE owns the other IP, so he can't do any of the other gimmicks he used to. Otherwise, he would. He'd be doing the conspiracy victim stuff. He'd probably try and bring Ralphus or his kid out. We'd have all of that now. Oh, here we go. Yes, let's do Daddy Ass versus Jay White because I must ask the general question. Who was this match for? Because if you are an AEW fan, you saw the signing of Jay White, former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Oh, he's a big star. He'll be a big star in the States because he can talk and he's a great wrestler, etc. And they literally said on commentary, he's being drubbed by by Billy Gunn,
AEW fan favorite Billy Gunn,
who is 60 years old.
And his work
60.
is primarily known for being in WWE.
Who looks like a monster compared to Jay White. He looks
that was the thing that was really killing me.
Sid compared to Jay White.
Jeez, I know. It was like Jay White was in there with mini Sid.
60-year-old Sid beating him from pillar to post.
It was actually not a bad walk and brawl style match for that. Like before the multiple Faymasters and the just dumb finish involving the Acclaimed and everything. For what it was for 60-year-old Billy Gunn, I thought he looked pretty sharp. Like the one and only looked good.
Fine, but he should not be in this position against a guy like Jay White.
God, no. Oh God, no. No. When you start breaking it down, not in a vacuum, this is one of the dumbest matches I've seen in a long time.
Well, okay.
Hitting Jay White with 3 finishers in a row, beclowned Jay White. I don't care what happened after the match. People are going to remember that Jay White was a helpless little maggot. Yeah, thumbs down. A helpless little maggot in there against Billy Gunn, writhing in his for his life.
And we didn't go over this last Saturday, but this was set up by the world's worst home invasion angle ever filmed on television, because the carnage consisted of 2 containers of protein powder thrown in the trash and running away when Billy Gunn gets home, even though he left the TV on wrestling on his own match for some reason. No television was smashed. Nothing was broken.
Those guys are so dumb. That's not how Billy's staying big.
Well, we don't want to throw away his expensive chemicals of any kind. The highlight of this show for me, Young Bucks versus Best Friends. Very good match. Finally, we're doing something with Trent Beretta that makes him somewhat interesting. I liked that they didn't sell this, that they didn't get this turn. This turn wasn't as obvious, even though we all, it was subtle. Don't get me wrong. It didn't come out of left field.
It did come out of left field, but it didn't feel fully earned. And I think
I'll agree with that.
Chuck Taylor's reaction to it was also another one of these uncanny valley emotional state problems for me, where no, you got to have an opinion watching Orange Cassidy, your friend, get a knee to the face by Trent Beretta from your other friend. You can't just stand there.
Yeah, I thought the missing note here was that Trent needed to be angry and enraged right after the pin and have to be calmed down, and then he relents, and then he turns, and then it's like I didn't mind the Chuck not having a reaction because number one, Chuck not the best actor in the world. Number two, you're kind of in shock that your friend did that. I mean, I can explain it, but I don't know if I don't know if you buy it.
I don't know. I don't know. And then you had Sue out there,
Oh God,
and
I wanted the super kick on Sue. I'm sorry if that makes me a horrible person. I wanted the super kick on Sue because I thought that would get mad heat. Now, they wouldn't have touched her, but it still would have been a great effect, in my opinion.
I think Sue needs to like turn her back on Trent on this. No, I'm not. I'm not kidding. Like though, especially
I wish
given
Orange were my son instead of you.
it's not even that. It's that I'm disappointed in seeing my son conduct himself like this.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
I still love my son, but I don't approve of his behavior. Like, love is not endless approval of all actions. Love is like, more nuanced than that. And I think it would have worked well, or it would work well for this Trent heel turn to have him be spurned by his mother by this and that be part of the crux of why he's so friggin' angry now.
Yeah, before that we had a baffling segment too. Willow,
But in fairness, the Bucks and the Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta, best, most coherent segment on this show by a country
oh
mile.
yeah, because before this, I hadn't gone in order because I don't have the exact. I just have what the segments were planned and not in order necessarily. Willow Nightingale comes out, and she is cutting the promo of her life. Now, don't get me wrong, mother fluffer or whatever. I kind of turned on that, but after that, it became a very earnest promo, very earnest hometown promo, name dropping places where they wrestle, getting big cheers. Big Stoke coming out there, putting over as well. I'm like, this is going great. And then, in just a piece of gimmick malpractice, career malpractice, we send Mercedes Moné out there in character, CEO, to say, hey, whoever wins, I got next. Because in Vegas, money, whatever. I'm just like, this is the wrong note. This is stealing focus from her. This is turning the crowd on Mercedes. She needed to just come out and go, you got this, and just leave as Mercedes. We had hey, I'm Adam. I'm here to talk to you about wrestling and how much I loved NWA and
She didn't need to
Stampede.
be out there.
Yes. No, the most important thing, yes.
The original sin is she didn't need to be out there.
I agree.
She had nothing to say this week that couldn't have been said next week. Not a lick. Say hello to your CEO. We know it. You guys have it punched in and overdubbed onto the theme song. She has nothing new to say here. I got next. It's the sort of generic thing that you could say whenever. You just say it after the title defense on the first week of the next television. It was just an excuse to get her on the show, but in a way that had no utility. And yes, I was upset.
And hurt Willow. That's the thing that did the most is like.
Yes, it takes the spotlight away from Willow because Stokely and Willow are establishing some chemistry. Statlander, like all three of them were actually starting to like occupy a little bit of character.
I thought so too.
That scene.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden out comes, this annoying
sketch comedy character from Sports Entertainmentville.
Right. Who is
like,
the big acquisition. I
had such high hopes for her coming in. And I'm now just like Peppermint's a system person. I think she only knows WWE, so she's gonna write everything like WWE.
I also don't think that Mercedes Moné necessarily knows any other character than just this boss character.
She's a system quarterback, possibly. Yep. And that's gonna drive me. And you know what? Once she turns heel, she might be okay. But this is dreadful right now.
Yes. I think her face turn's gonna
Sasha. I love
her. No, but I think her face run's gonna flop. I agree.
Too. Yeah.
I agree.
Look, we have Thunder Rosa and Mariah May was The only thing I thought about this match was, man, Thunder Rosa used to be white hot in this company, and now she's ice cold. And I don't know if they can heat her up again because everybody loves this Tony Storm character. Thunder
Oh, well, if
Rosa
Tony Storm's going to keep being on commentary
not
and say things like Mariah
wearing
May looks like
underpants.
Mariah May looks like a young Tony Storm, and Thunder Rosa
Rosa
looks like an old
Thunder
Thunder
Rosa.
Rosa.
That was a fantastic line.
Oh
I
my
fought so hard
God.
for that one.
Oh my God. I just cackling in my house.
I'm like, jeez, how is anybody supposed to get over with her being out there just
Right.
burying you?
I mean, and it really is like when Tony Storm's doing this good of work, what is the point of a Mercedes Moné face run?
Yes.
I'd much rather see Tony Storm like this sort of like goofy babyface champion up against this like way too serious CEO.
Cody, I'm sorry about the death of your dog, but don't worry. We get to watch Thunder Rosa now. She was just on fire. And unfortunately, the Harris Code stuff then comes in with the, hey, don't film me without underwear or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, look, you were on such a good run. We don't need that right now. Because, yes, but the entire delivery of, Mariah May reminds me of a younger Tony Storm. You want to know? And then she sets it up. She doesn't just say it. She sets it up. Hey, Excalibur, you know what Thunder Rosa reminds me of? What? An older Thunder Rosa. Dead. I just like
That this is a such a good joke construction.
Yes, but when Thunder Rosa was fighting Britt Baker, I mean, she was the heart and soul of this division, and now she can barely get a reaction out of this Dynamite crowd.
No, I know. And it was always a little bit of smoke and mirrors with how you use Mel Cervantes because she's got certain issues that not the best mic promo and that sort of thing. But like, dude, when they had her connected with the fans, she was really connected with the fans,
and she's still a presence. I mean, the makeup and everything, she still looks great in terms of when she comes out and stuff like that. So it's, I am going to set you up here and let you go for a bit because I have thoughts on this, but I want to hear yours first because I'm a little more critical of this segment than most. What did you think of the contract signing and the promos therein?
I thought that Joe's reaction to Swerve was another one of these uncanny, unearned things.
I'm with you a little bit here. So, okay, cool.
Like, I think that Joe should be supremely confident at all times. I think Swerve. I mean, it really all hinges on how do you feel about the "I live for this shit" moment, right? And
I thought that was unearned.
Right. That's exactly what I was about to say. I think we have not been on a journey where Swerve has been going through a trial of slings and arrows, culminating in this right before the contract signing, a final sling and arrow from Joe. And I also think Joe just like, Joe had every right to beat the crap out of Swerve. Swerve tried to use the chain.
Yes.
He tried to use the chain, and it didn't work out for him, and he got caught. Like, I don't find him pitiable.
Yeah.
I don't find the situation that's like how Swerve has gotten here, I don't find to be particularly sympathetic.
Yes.
He has beef with Adam Page that precluded him from winning that match, and that was earned beef. Here, he tried to use a weapon. And once you try to use a weapon on somebody and it doesn't work, you should expect to get massacred. And Joe should have left from that moment of beating up a guy with a chain who thought who was his opponent here on Sunday, having the upper hand. And he shouldn't give a crap that this guy's still alive enough to write, "I live for this shit." Like, he should be like, okay, cool, thumbs up, and then keep walking.
Yeah, here was my breakdown of it for the most part. Joe did not come out as Suit Joe, which I thought was a mistake because this is what his character has been built up for. I agree with you. He should have been just calm, cool, and collected. Instead, he was angry and, I'm gonna mentally scar you, blah 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 blah. That kind of stuff. I was like, but both these promos felt like Joe's half felt like an exposition-y type of promo, and Swerve's promo felt felt like a company man promo. Like, we're building a dynasty here in AEW, blah blah blah. It's like, no, this is about you being champ. And the issue with Swerve
And
has,
you never cared about any of that stuff in the past, anyways.
well, the problem is once they decided, oh, all these people love him because he's saying whose house and they love the Nana dance, we can't decide if he's pure babyface or pure heel. So we keep going back and forth between fan favorite and the guy who invaded Nick Wayne's house. And we actually had both characters within this same promo where it's like, you know what? I've been working my whole life for this, and this is a dream, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden he's a sociopath who loves blood, and all of a sudden he's heel Swerve again. And it's like, and neither of these rang true. He should have just been the baddest man on the planet this whole time instead of giving up for this is my dream to be champion type of stuff. Just be the baddest dude there, and then it would be two bad dudes fighting each other with one who's getting cheers, but he never acknowledging the cheers was the mistake, and the whose house, Swerve's house call and response thing. I think this is what has made his character kind of confusing at times, because it's like, oh yes, I am the fan favorite,
I have
future
a
black world champion, and that's fine. But at the same time, I'm also this madcap sociopath who likes drinking people's blood.
Yeah, right. And again, the things that make him a face, you sort of nailed it. It's a tagline that's catchy,
Yes.
and it's a manager who does a goofy dance.
Yes.
And outside of that, there's not a coherent character here that you really find endearing or lovable, and it just feels like a pastiche of different babyface tropes being ported onto this guy, but in not a way that makes any whole lot of sense. He's like a fruit salad.
Yeah, no, I think you got to the heart of this, where it's like they should not have gone back to Swerve and Joe immediately after the triple threat, because it felt unearned. This match feel in and of itself feels unearned, because it was just like, oh, I just beat you. No, I don't accept I don't accept the results of that match. There's no internal, what do I need to do to get back into the world title picture? Do I need to change my offense? Because I thought we had that story 2 weeks ago, but last week we decided to just bypass it with the submission type of thing with the arm. Yeah, it's like we want to make him champ, but we were afraid to make him champ during the triple threat. So now what are we going to do? Because Joe's doing too good of a job right now. There's a lot of confusion here. And it's again, this entire show felt weird. I have no other further notes on this.
I can't say I left this segment thinking that Swerve should be belted, but they also did a lot of damage to Joe as the champion.
Yes.
Too.
Like, Joe should not be freaked out by that unless he's
No.
been calm, cool, and collected this entire
No.
time, and unless Swerve has been the sociopath this entire time with the chains, and if he's slicing himself, which he was because he saw Nana hand him the blade, but in story it was just, hey, Nana was holding the blade for him, in terms of kayfabe. But yeah, I mean, if he is a masochist who enjoys pain and enjoys cutting himself and enjoys brutal, if he's Sabu or something like that, then yeah, Joe should be a little bit freaked out by the heights he'll go for that. Here, it's just he has his head cut open because of the chain, supposedly, and it's like,
right,
oh.
his chain.
Yes.
Again, he got hoisted by his own petard.
Thank you.
He got busted open by his own chain. Joe, this is a guy who reintroduced the ranking system. Remember when that happened? And the whole point of that promo was, I want the best challengers, all that stuff. If anything, Joe should be looking at a busted open Swerve Strickland, who just got busted open by his own chain that Joe got from him. It's like shooting a man with his own gun.
I should have said,
And
I did that to you.
yeah, he should be mildly amused by all of
Yeah.
this. Yeah, it's like Sides with Blood. Joe's like, yeah, yeah. I started this on today. I'm finishing this at whatever the pay-per-view is. All in
It's Dynasty.
Dynasty.
Because I said fantasy last week. That was wrong.
Da 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 da.
He
Dynasty
played.
was a television show. Yeah, yeah.
No. Oh, okay. I was saying. Oh, that's Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dynasty was also a TV show with William Forsythe or John Forsythe and Linda Evans and yeah. Okay. So on the supersized Shake Them Ropes now, gonna go to our previews of this weekend for WWE. Starting with, you might recall this was 9 a.m. on a Saturday out here last year. This year, noon on the East Coast, still 9 a.m. for me. NXT Stand and Deliver. NXT's offering for WrestleMania. 7 matches, 6 on the main show, 1 on the pre-show. We'll start with that one. Shawn Spears versus Joe Gacy. Joe Gacy having a very scary moment on the Go Home show where they stopped the match. Later, they filmed a vignette where he's crawling into Ava's office begging for a match. He has to win this one, right, Chris?
Oh, I think so. They have made in Joe Gacy a very interesting, almost Mick Foley like character.
Oh, you find him interesting. I don't at all anymore.
I find he's had some great matches. That match with Dijak was awesome.
The matches he's doing are fine.
His matches are good now.
The character he's doing is stupid.
He's
the Black Knight from Monty Python.
Yeah, he's like Mankind.
Okay.
No, I mean, really.
Mankind at least was interesting, and we all knew who he was and all that other stuff. Yeah, okay, fine.
Wait, you trying to tell me he was Dude Love?
A lot of people knew him as Cactus Jack in ECW. I mean, WCW. Okay. I'm just saying.
This Mick Foley has many faces.
In a 6-woman tag match, Thea Hale. Hope she brings the cowboy hat back. Fallon Henley and Kalani Jordan versus JC Jane, Kiana James, and Izzy Dame with Jasmine Nix and her sling. I could not believe that they blew off this angle with Kiana James just saying, yes, I did all this for Chase U and for you to be back in the spotlight. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
I mean, it was just funny for her to be like, now I'm back on top or whatever. I'm back to where I needed to be. I'm like, you're nothing. You have no belts. You're not in any title picture whatsoever. You don't even have a tag team. What are you talking about?
Don't get me wrong. I like JC and Kiana as a team. I kind of like Thea and Fallon as a team. I
don't know. I'm kind of over wacky zany Thea Hale at this point.
Yeah, a little bit. Needs that grounding element to her, and I don't think they're ever gonna give her because she's so over the top all the time. But I do think her team gets this win, and she probably gets a hug from her boyfriend and Chase U.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, they work things out.
Yes,
because she's now her authentic self.
On to the title matches before we get to the main event, starting with triple threat for the NXT North American Championship. Hoss fight, baby. Here for it. Oba Femi, who to me doesn't quite have the technique to be a Hoss throwing guys around, but they're going to let him do it anyways, versus Dijak and Josh Briggs.
Yeah, but Oba Femi will get some serious receipts if he's not like.
I agree.
Yeah, no. Dijak will waylay this guy. I don't think he does not give enough of a crap or have nearly enough respect for this guy to not just like wallop him.
My favorite part of that Ultimate Survivor, whatever the hell they call it, was Dijak and Josh Briggs playing the Skyscrapers from like 1990 or 1989. I'm looking forward to this match more than I should be because I'm not into the work rate. I'm here for the Hoss fight. I am probably going to be sufficiently hosed, but I think Oba Femi wins this.
Yeah, Oba Femi's going to retain. I'll go 5%. 5% chance he doesn't because somebody gets concussed. that they have to like go home. 5% chance that they have to go home.
Thank you.
It looks like it's peaking on my end, but if you think this is good, that's great.
Well, it sounds like you're walking down the hallway in my earphone, so maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see.
Okay.
When I listen back. For the NXT Women's Championship, Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez. I think the only question here is because of the reports that have been coming out from the dirt sheets, name a dirt sheet, that people are very happy on the main roster with Roxanne Perez's work in this heel run, that she might get brought up. God help me, why would you bring her up as a heel when she is the best babyface on this?
Well, the heel run would be really incoherent at this point, too, because the only way to understand the heel run is if you understand all of the NXT shit, and they never bring up any of the NXT stuff in Raw lore. So she would just come up there and be bitter about her NXT run that nobody knows about.
No, she comes up as Cora Jade. She holds the ball cap and the baseball bat and everything. And everybody's like, is that Cora Jade? No, Roxanne Perez.
No, actually, they should just call her Cora Jade.
We'll rebrand Cora when she's ready to come back.
If and when.
I've hated this feud because Lyra, it's just the Tatum Paxley part of it just really ruined it for me. I think Roxanne Perez does get her title back, and she's not getting brought up just yet. What do you think?
I think Perez is getting her title back. I think Paxley is going to cost Lyra Valkyria the match. And I think they're going to do the stupid thing and turn Lyra heel. Oh. Yes. And Paxley's actually been her conscience and was actually her true friend. And she's going to turn on Paxley.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, that's where I think this is going.
In a match that could possibly steal the entire weekend. And I'm not being hyperbolic or sarcastic about this. Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker versus Axiom and Nathan Frazier for the Tag Team Championship of NXT. I am here for this match.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is going to be a great match.
This feels like a modern day, like Road Warriors versus Rock and Roll Express type of big muscle jack dudes versus quick guys. That triple threat. Look, I say this again and again. Legado del Fantasma gets no love, and they should get a lot more love because they are them working with Axiom and Nathan Frazier were fantastic. But this could be something special. I think we're gonna break up the Corbin and Breaker team so that Breaker can go on to SmackDown Stardom, and Baron Corbin may get to go back to the main roster and eat a pin from Breaker. So I have Axiom and Nathan Frazier winning the tag team titles here.
I think the Wolf Dogs retain.
Okay.
I don't think they're done. I don't think they're done with Corbin and Breaker at this point.
You think there's going to need to be a stipulation or something for this?
A stipulation?
I mean, for a rematch for Axiom and Frazier to get the titles.
A tornado match would actually be a really great way to conclude this thing.
Okay.
These guys would be a wonderful candidate for a Texas tornado match.
Ilya Dragunov defending his NXT title against Tony D'Angelo in an angle I want dead. Really fast. I did not like the go home for this at all, Chris. Okay,
so like some of it sucks.
I like Tony and I like Ilya.
I like Tony a lot.
I hate these gimmicks.
No, so here's the thing here's what I like about this. Though I think a lot of this sucks and it's campy and all that. I like that D'Angelo realizes that Ilya Dragunov mentally breaks all of his opponents.
Okay.
And so his strategy going into this is I'm going to mentally break Ilya Dragunov. I'm going to be the guy who's in control of the mind games, unlike a Trick Williams, unlike a Carmelo Hayes, unlike a Baron Corbin. Ilya Dragunov mentally played all of these guys and had them broken going into their matches on some level, questioning themselves on some level. And, I'm going to do this to Ilya. Now, there's a much better way to execute all of this that's far less goofy and like mafioso tropes. Like, who the hell are all these people behind Tony D'Angelo? And like, why are they just staring at him? And are they going to show up in the match? Like, does this match end with Ilya Dragunov getting like concrete like shoes?
Well, the full-blooded Italians do have a match at WrestleCon, I believe, or at one of these
Oh,
shows.
D'Angelo gets the pin when he pours Ilya Dragunov into a slab of concrete and just
Oh, like the beginning of Dick Tracy?
yeah, it just stands on top of it. And Dragunov's head's there and he's still trying to get out.
You know what Dick Tracy needed? A predator.
Yeah, Dick Tracy. A lot of people compare Dick Tracy pretty favorably to the Never Ending Story.
I hated Dick Tracy when I saw it, and now I've started to really like it as I've watched it like about 200 more times. It's a movie that has grown on me. Let's put it that way.
Mm.
James Caan's cameo is fantastic with Pacino. He's like, nope, I'm out. What do you mean you're out? I'm out. And then finally, in your main event, in a relaxed rules match, whatever the hell that means, Carmelo Hayes versus Trick Williams with nothing on the line and no real stipulation.
And no real rules.
And rules will be made up because we just hope the referee will do whatever.
Oh, they should just get Aubrey Edwards based off of her officiating of that daddy ass Jay White match. She really does seem like the finest candidate for this match you could get.
The forbidden door is open, and it's Aubrey Edwards. That's where we go.
Well, they saw her excellent work officiating the daddy ass Jay White thing. They're like, if those are relaxed rules, I don't know what are.
I think Trick Williams has to win this.
Yeah, he has to.
It's interesting to me. The only reason I give pause is because I have no idea how we rebuild Carmelo Hayes. He's already been on SmackDown.
I don't either, but this feud is over.
This feud is over. He has security guards that look like D'Lo Brown and Aces and Eights, which I appreciate. And D'Lo Brown,
I appreciate
doing a show,
this thing that they do underneath their chesticles. Whatever this thing is, it's very secure.
Sorry, what thing?
Chesticles.
Well, no, you made a comment. I wasn't looking.
No,
at the
they
camera.
do this thing with their hands.
Oh yeah, they put the thumbs under the vest.
Yeah, under the vest. Yeah, no, it's nice. It's right under their chesticles. I like it.
I'm interested because Carmelo Hayes has just been killed on SmackDown, and now he's back in NXT. And is he going to be? Boy, I could see that.
And he's been destroyed by Ilya Dragunov for a second time, so it's like, he's not going to be the champ.
I could see everybody being confused and Carmelo Hayes beating Trick Williams, and then Trick Williams just shows up on Raw Monday and nobody even mentions it. But, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Trick Williams kind of has to win here.
Right, because, not for anything, but this would have been a very good candidate for a loser leaves NXT stipulation.
Yes. That would have been great for that. That's a great call, type of a thing. And then we could have just gone there. So, that being said, we now go to the big one. WrestleMania. Night 1, Saturday night. We know the match order. We're sure of the match order because old Dave Meltzer and his Wrestling Observer has said as such. But we definitely know for right now what is opening the show because they have said they wanted to open the show. Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. A singles match for the women's world title. Who do you have here, Chris?
I think Rhea's got to win.
I do too. And it's interesting because I don't ever think it should have been ever in doubt. But it felt like, look, there's a part of me that's nagging at me that says Becky should win this because Rhea's had this title for so long. But I think Rhea needs the signature win over the quote-unquote biggest star in the division. And I think that is what's going to happen here. I'm hoping that there's no chicanery involved. I'm hoping it's clean.
I think she needs to win. I think maybe another story throughout WrestleMania should be like the Judgment Day basically lose and she's the big winner. So that she's sort of the clear leader of the Judgment Day coming out of this.
Well, I think we're also going to have some furthering of Damian Priest leaving the Judgment Day. at some point, and possibly even cashing in somewhere. So,
Maybe the start of the friction would be between Ripley and Priest.
so okay. So here are some things to remember, Chris, as you're picking things. Damian Priest is eligible to cash in a Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you other things as we go here, but next up is the six-pack tag team ladder match. Both sets of belts on the line, and just because one set of belts has been torn down, the match does not end until both sets of belts have been torn down. That is an interesting caveat, which may bring into play that belts may go to successive brands, and we may have two sets of belts again. So it's not necessarily for the undisputed tag team championship, Chris. You have the Judgment Day, you have DIY, you have Awesome Truth, you have the New Day, you have A-Town Down Under, and New Catch Republic, which is Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. What do you got?
I think the belts are getting split up. I don't think we're gonna have undisputed tag team champions after this. And I think DIY might get like a thank you sort of run with the belts here. So I think they're gonna end up winning one of the pairs of belts. And I think the Judgment Day is gonna choke. I think they're gonna lose both sets of belts here. So maybe they belt Austin Theory and Grayson Waller just to see what happens.
That would be an interesting one. I have the SmackDown titles going either to them or to the New Catch Republic as the quote unquote thank you for taking all these losses against various faces or heels. I am going to say the New Catch Republic get the SmackDown titles. The Raw titles, I am leaning towards your thinking here of DIY. But there's a part of me that just thinks maybe the Miz and R-Truth get them, since R-Truth has been the focal point of this entire thing with the Judgment Day. And I think it makes for a better quote unquote moment at WrestleMania.
I could also just see him costing them both the titles.
That's also true. I think I'm not there yet, so I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna say DIY gets a thank you run with the Raw titles, and that Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate getting a run with the SmackDown titles. And I think Finn Balor tries to get Damian Priest to cash in his briefcase, and he refuses, and that starts a rift. That's what I'm thinking, because I think Damian Priest is eventually getting a solo title. I don't know if it's at Mania, but he's getting it. Yeet versus no Yeet. Jey Uso versus Jimmy. Oh, well, no, let's not start there because that's not the order. So let me go back to the order here. Rey Mysterio and new LWO member Dragon Lee. This happening on SmackDown on Friday. Interesting angle if you watch it, because Carlito was dead certain he was going to be the partner here, and he wasn't. Versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. I loved commentary putting over that Dominic Mysterio snuck his way into another WrestleMania match. That was funny. Who do you have here, Chris?
I think Dom wins. I think Dom finds a way to win.
I think JD McDonough's involved, and I think they win as well. I don't think Carlito turns just yet. I think Carlito kind of gets angry that he could have won the match if he were in it, but instead you chose Dragon Lee. But I think Dominic Mysterio gets the win here just for the boos, which will be glorious.
Oh, better yet, I bet you he pins his dad.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking JD McDonough hits Ray with something, and then Dominic pins him or gets thrown on top and gets the 1, 2, 3. I am here for this.
Yeah.
I am here for Dominic. Look, I don't care if Dominic Mysterio can't wrestle a lick, even though he can't. I just love a guy that has this much heat, that is unrepentant, and I want more of it, please. It's like when The Rock had children crying. I loved that stuff. I mean, this goes to my black heart right here. I love it. Now Yeet versus no Yeet. Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso.
Yeet.
I think no Yeet. I think something's happening with this Bloodline Rules match where somehow main event Jey Uso ends up back in the Bloodline. I don't know why. It's just something that's bugging me a bit. There's something. I don't know. I just don't know. For some reason I think Jimmy Uso wins this match somehow, maybe with Solo's help afterwards. I
Yeah,
just
you know, maybe so because what they're not telling me Jey Uso needs to get over this hurdle to finally like they haven't really told the story of why Jey needs to win this.
right.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just going out on a limb here. I
Yeah.
don't know. Uh in what is possibly the easiest match to bet on the card, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi versus the Damage Control team of Dakota Kai, the lovely clown Asuka, and Kairi Sane. Uh, Chris, do you see any reason why Jade Cargill isn't getting the pin probably on Dakota Kai?
Yeah, I think Jade's pinning Dakota Kai.
That's what I think as well. So we will move on. Sami Zayn versus Gunther. And I will give you this note, Chris. There's a Raw the next week in Montreal. Now, what does that mean? It could either be a celebration for Sami Zayn, or Sami Zayn could get screwed here and win the title in Montreal. I know what the smarter pick here is. I'm just laying that out here for fact sake to make you think a little bit. Does Sami Zayn beat Gunther and kill the reign of the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in company history?
No, but Gunther is forced to get himself disqualified or cheat. He essentially has to admit that he does not have the ability to beat this guy clean. And then Sammy goes in for the win in Montreal.
Uh I I feel like I'm having too many heels win on this card. I think this is the makeup. I think Sami Zayn gets this victory as the thank you for taking the loss in Montreal to Roman Reigns. I don't think it makes any sense. I think you bring up a new guy to then beat Gunther for the title. But this feels like, hey, Sammy, you've been such a trooper for this past 2 or 3 years. We're going to give you the big win here.
See, I think you can milk this for a second main event in Montreal.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying. You
No,
have
I get.
Gunther, you have
Yep.
Gunther cheat here and basically weasel his way out of this. And Sammy comes out in Montreal House of Fire and says, "We are doing this tonight in the main event." And like Adam Pearce comes out, he's like, "We're
I
doing this. Yeah, we're doing this in the main event."
I
And
could
then you
see this.
and then you give them 30 minutes of another banger match. Like this is absolutely something you can milk twice. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, thumbs up.
To me, it's Imperium comes out, Chad Gable runs him away so that Sammy can beat him clean. Now I could see your point of view where it's like he gets screwed, maybe even by Chad Gable joining Imperium. I don't think that's going to happen
I don't no,
necessarily.
I don't think no, especially not. The beatdown was clearly authentic. Like Chad Gable was like crawling and trying to get
Yes.
to good. Yeah, that was not like a stage.
But you know, WWE loves to do those things where it's like you've been beaten down by a guy, and it's like I just decided to join him because I can't beat him any longer.
Vince likes that because that's like
Yes,
deep.
no, that's true.
That's
That
the
is a
deep
Vince
mythology
thing.
of Vince thing. Yeah.
I did like the training montage though.
Oh,
On
I did
Raw.
too.
I thought that was fun. Uh and then in your main event for night one, Roman Reigns and The Rock versus Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. Cody wins. It'll be him and Roman Reigns with no interference and nobody coming out from the back. If Roman and Rock win, it is bloodline rules. Anything goes. How do you envision this, Chris?
Roman and Rock are winning this. They're gonna screw this over because like the whole point of Saturday night's gonna be or the final WrestleMania is Saturday night, right? Or is it Sunday?
The second night is Sunday. The first night is Saturday.
Whole point of Sunday is gonna be go for broke. And with the Bloodline rules match, now you can get like a million people involved in the storyline, and it's just a crazier, zanier match. There's no
Who pins who?
The Rock pins Cody.
That's correct. That is what is going to happen
Yeah,
here.
The Rock pins Cody.
I loved the beatdown, by the way, at the end of Monday night.
Yeah.
Whipping with belts. That did not look fun to take. Fun to watch for me, because I'm a sadist. No, it felt so old school and so non WWE. That's what I loved about it. It's not that people have never been hit with belts on WWE, but just the viciousness with which they're beating down both him and Seth. I've loved this part of the feud. I never thought I'm not a big Rock guy at all.
Oh, but this is so much better than I would have thought a Rock run
Foul
would be.
mouth the Rock
He's so good at
is
this. Like,
so good.
yeah, he's super entertaining.
With
Uh,
with the handcuffs off and him dropping like F bombs and S bombs and getting bleeped here and there. It's kind of amazing how much I've loved this angle.
yeah, no, I think Rock Rock pins Cody, but
Yes.
Roman does a lot of the work for this. And then Roman loses to Cody in the
Yes.
Bloodline Rules match. And that puts a rift between Roman and Rock.
Yes,
where
because Rock says I could beat Cody. Why couldn't you?
yeah, you are you really the head of the table?
Yeah, that kind of
Yeah,
thing. Okay,
yeah.
we're in agreement on that, but we're kind of tipping our hand a bit. We'll go to Sunday. Drew McIntyre versus Seth freaking Rollins.
I think Drew Mac wins.
I can see Drew McIntyre winning this. I'm going to put the June pay-per-view is Clash at the Castle, and it's in Glasgow. It's in Scotland. Now, I
He
don't
should
know.
be cruising into that as the champion against Punk.
Maybe. If Punk can go. I don't know if Punk's going to be ready by June. If he can't, the perfect guy to do this is for Damian Priest to come out and screw Drew from his Mania moment that he's been wanting this whole time and beating Seth Rollins, who's been beaten down or suffering the effects from the previous night, and taking this title. And then you can baby Drew because people want to cheer him, and he's going to be over like Rover in Scotland. And he gets his moment in Glasgow.
But you can't do that against Priest because Priest is too strong of a force right now. It's good, but Priest is the wrong guy for Drew to be up against right now because they're both too popular. But they're like sort of like weirdly cast.
But I mean, Priest stealing Drew's moment and just taking the title from him, and Drew just being like, "What the hell happened at that moment?"
But Drew's gone so far into being a dick right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that would just feel like comeuppance.
I was wondering about that because I could also see Priest cashing in on Cody at the end of the night, and Cody not having a problem. I finished the story, and then boom, he's only been champ for 20 minutes or 5 seconds or whatever, and here comes Damian Priest with his briefcase.
But like Priest doesn't have to do it right away, and I think maybe some of the intrigue / drama, the Judgment Day is trying to get Priest to cash in that briefcase.
I think it's for I think the drama is trying to get Priest to tag in for trying to get Priest to cash in for the tag belts
to get their belts back. Yeah.
Okay, I have Drew winning this as well. I think it's gonna be an excellent match. I just wonder how much melodrama is gonna be involved with Seth and his quote unquote injuries from the night before, but we will see. In a match that nobody really asked for, and it also seems fairly easy to predict, but I don't know for a fact. The Pride, which is the name of Bobby Lashley, the Street Profits, and B-Fab. But B-Fab is not in the match. It's just Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament of Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain, being accompanied by Scarlett and Paul Ellering. Who do you have?
I'm gonna go with the Authors of Pain one.
Really? Okay.
I think we gotta get them over.
There are some. Well, I mean, they've been kind of over on SmackDown, and you haven't really watched them all that much, probably because of that.
No.
And I actually think the Street Profits need a win because they've been looking pretty weak of late.
Well, but like Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits have been looking pretty weak as of late. Has been a running theme for like a year and 3 months.
I have seen on the internet a rumor that this may be where they reintroduce Uncle Howdy to take over the Final Testament.
Oh.
Does that interest you at all or intrigue you or change your mind?
Uncle Howdy was never really introduced fully.
No, but they teased his return on the Bray Wyatt documentary.
Well,
So I don't know if it'd be here, but that would be the stable I would put
that
Uncle Howdy in.
yeah. Do we need Uncle Howdy?
No, but
Uncle Howdy was not exactly Bray's best creation. It's like
Uncle Howdy's gonna be leading the Judgment Day
uh,
after Priest.
Uncle the belt Uncle Howdy. You know what
Oh,
I
really?
mean? You belt him.
Sure.
Yeah.
LA Knight versus AJ Styles.
Um, who's LA Knight?
Uh, he's the guy who does the Rock and Stone Cold impressions.
People like it?
People used to like it, and then Rock came back and showed it was done.
Huh.
So much so they had to take Rock off of SmackDown for a few weeks.
Um, well, seems like a nice guy. I'm gonna go with AJ Styles.
I'm going the other way. I'm going LA Knight on this. He
Okay.
needs a win. He needs something here and to get the crowd.
I just
Have the
have
crowd
I
behind
have
him.
no memory of this man whatsoever.
In what might be the match of both nights. And I say this without sarcasm. For the Intercontinental title, I believe. This Intercontinental or US title, can't remember. Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens. Oh no, it's the
U.S.
US title. You're right, because Gunther's IC. Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. I love Logan Paul. He has been such a great crap weasel in this feud, especially with Owens and Orton both trying to kill him, and now they're in the three-way, and now Owens and Orton are kind of like, yeah, we're friends, but I'm gonna kick your butt, type of a thing. I think Logan Paul actually retained so he can say he beat both of them. But do you have Kevin Owens or Randy Orton taking the title off of Logan Paul here, Chris?
Logan might need a break or something for like some contractual reason, and if so, I guess I'd go Kevin Owens.
Yeah, I would too. That's a good possibility. I just think Logan Paul is lost at every Mania he's been at. I think. If I'm right on that, I don't know. I could look it up right now, but it'd take too long. But
Maybe he's doing like kind of a reverse Undertaker thing.
well, I know he lost to Seth. Did he lose in that tag match with the Miz, or did he win that and then turn on Miz? I don't know. But hold on, I'll go to cage match. Vamp about something real quick, like
boy.
Predators or something.
A lot of people like the movie Predator, really, when you think about it. And that's in part because of the quality acting delivered by some of the cast, who include Jesse Ventura, a noted former professional wrestler, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who actually, prior to being a prior to this, was a bodybuilder, and later on would go on to be the governor of all states, California. It was a pretty zany time in American politics.
Okay, never mind. He won.
okay.
He won that tag match against the Mysterios.
That's
So
right.
he's 1-1 at WrestleMania. I think he gets a solo win though. I think yeah, much to people's dismay. I could see him losing if he has contractual thing. I think you're correct on that, but I do think I do think he wins this one. And then your not so main event, but main event in many people's hearts. The Lone Horsewoman never have a main event at WrestleMania and still kind of doesn't. The lovely Aunt Pam. We're big Aunt Pam fans here at the Shake Them Ropes podcast. Always have been, always will be. Against Io Sky for the SmackDown Women's title. I think this is going to be I'm hoping this is a sublime match, depending on how well Bayley can go in terms of her legs and stuff, because they're both surgically repaired. She's gained a little bit of weight. You know, she's still solid in the ring, but she's not the Bayley that we've known from her earlier career. Io is Io. She's still fairly great, but she's never been able to do a long match on the main roster other than her high spots. So
And they have let basically that prime window of hers kind of go by a bit.
Yeah. For me, the real tragedy of this thing was, yeah, this is Bailey's moment. She deserves it, but they never reset her character after the turn by Damage Control. She's still been kind of the type of person, except as a baby face, and she never went pure babyface on television. And I think it hurt this feud quite a lot. And of course, it was getting swallowed whole by Rhea and Becky in terms of the media for a women's match. Um, I just think they kind of did Bailey a little bit dirty here, but that's my personal opinion.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I think Bailey wins and gets her Mania moment, and I think I'm probably gonna tear up at it because I'm emotional about such things. But
I don't think this match is going to be as long as we would like. I bet
yeah,
you. I have a feeling this could be 9 minutes.
I have a feeling that if a match gets time cut,
It's
it's
this
gonna
one.
be this one because it's like the Pride versus Final Testament is way too early. We don't know what's gonna be happening with, say, a segment with like Stone Cold or The Undertaker or Hulk Hogan or something like that. And boy, if they try to shoehorn an Undertaker segment in here, the entrance alone is gonna take 25 minutes. Yeah, they could have Bailey and Io do 4 minutes after entrances and that. So I think you're dead on about that one too. That would be one to watch too. I think Bailey deserves 2025. We'll see how long they let them go, but I have Bailey winning this fairly solid. I don't think Damage Control ends. You know what? Damage Control probably tries to come out to interfere, and then the Bianca Jade crew come out and run them off.
Yeah, and that's how Billy finally finds that she has friends.
Yeah, and then main event. Do we finish the story? I think so. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns in what is probably going to be a dragged out,
Oh,
multiple interference.
this is gonna be the Sting versus Triple H levels of like extra characters involved in
Yes.
the match. This is going to be a movie. Uh,
Afa, Sika, Haku, the Barbarian, Tamatanga, Tangaloa, Baby.
Meng.
Well, I had Haku already. Yeah,
Oh
we'll have
yeah,
Haku and Meng.
and Meng
And
and
Meng come
Meng.
out. We'll have the children of Cody and Roman come out. Baby Samoans headbutting, Cody's daughter.
Ron Simmons comes out and delivers a headbutt to The Rock. Still upset about the Nation of Domination stuff.
D'Lo comes out, does a frog
D'Lo comes
splash
out, yeah.
on the Rock. We get
The Godfather comes out, then so does Kama Mustafa, the Supreme Fighting Machine.
Dan Lambert comes out with Brandy Rhodes this time and cuts a promo on everybody on Heyman. It's gonna be a Diamond Dallas Page gets a diamond cutter in there. Maybe we get Tim, who's the NWA champion? Tim Storm. He accompanied Cody on that match against Aldis. We get Arn Anderson may make an appearance here at some point with a gun. Um, who knows? Maybe even Sting shows up for some ungodly reason. He just decides, you know what? Punk was right. I'm signing up for
I mean, like
WWE.
that would actually be a amazing sort of finish. This Sting and The Rock just for the photo moment would be crazy.
And it turns into like the John Cena Bray Wyatt match. It becomes a cinematic match where they're just going through time, and Cody and Roman end up in like Jim Crockett 1988 in a Dusty Rhodes match or something.
And this culminates in Cody driving a giant mecha Dusty and destroying the bloodline in a giant hard times mecha Dusty.
You know what happens is Cody gets whipped so hard he goes into his own subconscious, and through the pain he's having a fever dream. I was once NWA World Heavyweight Champion and I beat Harley Race.
That dastardly Ric Flair has been after me.
Now I want nothing less than all of this that we're talking. As long as I get the Haku and the Barbarian somehow involved.
It ends with like Mecha Dusty shooting lasers from his eyes, killing a bunch of aliens and predators.
Oh no, aliens, predators, and the Robo Four Horsemen.
Yeah, the Robo Horseman. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's Ole, not Barry. Just that last dig on Ole. Uh, I think Rock does something with Cody's mom and probably Brandy about the belt and the blood, and Brandy Price slaps Rock in some way to get a cheer. I think there'll probably be a flaming table that Cody goes through at some point. Um, but I have Cody Rhodes. I think they rectify last year.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they have to.
No, that the whole reason that he has to lose on Saturday is to
Yes.
make this the trial by ordeals that he ultimately overcomes. That like the final boss of the story is overcoming all of these final obstacles, and then he wins the title at the end.
I will be praying that
he's going to be the champion.
I will be praying that Pat McAfee loses his voice by this match because he's going to be insufferable, I think.
Oh, I think he might get involved. He's been shilling pretty hard for the bloodline.
Honorary Samoan Pat McAfee. Okay. But yeah, and I'm gonna watch the Hall of Fame ceremony because I want to see if Bull Nakano says anything or anything like that. Possible surprises at NXT. You might see Rossi Ogawa, the former head of Stardom, in the audience. I'm thinking they may announce that because apparently he might have this new women's thing of his might be under the WWE banner. So that might be interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff coming out of this that we may not have expected. So let's just all enjoy the WrestleMania, kids. You got any other notes here?
I don't, man. I don't. This is going to be a fun weekend.
This is a supersized show. Hope you enjoyed it. This has been Shake Them Ropes. You can follow me at CrapGame13 on Elon Musk's Twitter/X. You can follow the show on Twitter at Shake Them Ropes, all one word. Only gets updated when it's about the show, so you don't have to listen to my ramblings. Chris is not on either of those things because he wants to be happy for the rest of his life. So he's on the gram at DOCTOR_NOV. I am also on Fight Game Media. I do a show called The Dynamite Show. We go live on YouTube about 20 minutes after Dynamite ends, thoroughly deconstruct AEW, and then I steal all the good points my co-host makes and bring them here. That drops in your audio feed the next morning. Chris has plugs too. I'm going to let him do them now.
Yeah, I teach music lessons if you're so inclined. You can follow me on Instagram, DOCTOR_NOV. Other than that, feel free to follow that for the continuing sagas of me playing guitar occasionally.
Home ownership, cats.
Dude, yeah, except that the cats can't go outside anymore, and I can't really play guitar because I taught my first lesson and got a homeowner's violation at 12 on Saturday.
Your HOA is already going after you.
Yeah. So you might be able to follow the saga of how long I'm actually at this house. It's a lot of fun.
They can legally take it.
Yeah, I know.
Enjoy the graps. We may be back in between nights 1 and 2, but I'm not going to guarantee that. We'll just see how we feel. If not, you're going to have a very long, ice cold takes on the lazy river next week. But please enjoy your wrestling, kids.